How the D-Day deception fooled Hitler and changed World War II. At 2:17 a.m. on June 6, 1944, the English Channel shimmered under a thin moonlight, disturbed only by restless waves and the distant hum of engines. Thousands of Allied soldiers, gliders, and paratroopers were poised on the edge of history, the cold spray of seawater and the biting wind of Normandy mingling with their tense anticipation. They carried M1 Garands, Thompson submachine guns, Browning machine guns, bazookas, 60mm mortars, and demolition charges. Engineers readied satchel bombs, flamethrowers, Bangalore torpedoes, and explosives totaling over 12,000 pounds. Yet before the first bullet tore through the night or the first bomb shook the sand, an invisible battle had already begun. A battle of deception, misdirection, and precise orchestration. Adolf Hitler, confident in the Atlantic Wall, with its concrete bunkers, anti-tank ditches, barbed wire, and 88mm artillery emplacements, remained convinced the main Allied invasion would strike at Pas de Calais, nearly 200 kilometers northeast of Normandy. He was wrong, and that miscalculation would prove catastrophic for the Third Reich. Operation Bodyguard, the grand illusion. To outwit the German High Command, the Allies launched Operation Bodyguard, a sprawling deception strategy designed to conceal the true landing site. Within it, Operation Fortitude became the central instrument of misdirection. Fortitude North suggested an invasion of Norway, luring German forces to Trondheim and Narvik. Fortitude South fabricated the 1st United States Army Group, supposedly ready to strike Pas de Calais with overwhelming force. The Germans believed 1st United States Army Group included over 1 million men, 1,500 tanks, 5,000 trucks, and 2,500 aircraft, creating the impression of an unstoppable mechanized army. In reality, this army existed only on paper and in carefully staged visual cues. Inflatable Sherman and Churchill tanks, wooden and canvas aircraft mock-ups, and fake artillery pieces meticulously positioned across southern England. Sound trucks broadcasted roaring tank engines, simulated artillery fire, and marching infantry across miles of countryside, while small controlled explosions mimicked skirmishes and bombardments. Reconnaissance planes reported columns stretching over 12 kilometers, completely unaware they were photographing hollow rubber and wood. Decoy supply depots and fuel trucks were positioned strategically, each time to create the illusion of logistical movements supporting armored divisions. Radio operators sent hundreds of counterfeit transmissions, detailing supposed troop positions, artillery barrages, and resupply operations. Even camouflage netting and fake vehicle tracks were employed, giving German aerial observers the impression of constant activity. Dummy command posts with flashing lights simulated tactical planning, while distant gunfire and exploding charges enhanced the sense of imminent assault. Every movement, every sound, and every transmission was choreographed to fool German intelligence into believing a full-scale assault was imminent, proving that deception and psychological manipulation could be as deadly as real weaponry. The Phantom Army and fake firepower. Visual deception played a crucial role. Across the fields of southern England, specially trained units deployed 350 inflatable tanks, 400 trucks, and 60 artillery pieces, arranged as if a formidable armored strike was forming. Reconnaissance aircraft, flying at altitudes of 3,000 meters, reported seeing columns stretching over 12 kilometers, complete with visible armor and supply convoys. To enhance the illusion, sound trucks traversed rural roads, broadcasting engine noises, marching troops, and simulated artillery fire. German intelligence believed they were facing over 2,000 artillery guns ready to fire across the channel, when in fact, the only detonations were controlled small-scale explosions used to simulate bombardments. Dummy anti-aircraft emplacements were scattered among the fields, creating the impression of layered defenses capable of repelling air assaults. Fake observation posts with blinking lights and radio chatter suggested continuous command operations, adding to the illusion of a fully operational corps. Smoke generators created clouds over key positions, simulating campfires and armored engine heat, fooling aerial reconnaissance. Even the movement of canvas tanks in wind gusts was timed to mimic advancing battalions, convincing German observers that an enormous mechanized force was mobilizing. Observers in Pas de Calais interpreted these illusions as evidence of FUSAG's readiness, diverting attention from Normandy. Double agents, the weapon of information war. Deception extended beyond the visible. Over 30 double agents, including the legendary Juan Pujol Garcia, codenamed Garbo, transmitted more than 500 fabricated reports to German intelligence between January and June 1944. These detailed reports described fictitious troop movements, equipment, and landing schedules, filling German minds with false certainty. Garbo's messages detailed battalions armed with 76mm guns, anti-tank cannons, 3-inch mortars, and even fictional rocket launchers, exaggerating both quantity and readiness. The Germans were led to believe FUSAG had more than 500,000 troops, supported by 2,000 landing craft, capable of delivering armored vehicles, artillery, and infantry in multiple waves. Every lie was measured, every number chosen to reinforce the illusion of overwhelming strength. Additional fictitious reports included entire armored brigades equipped with 120mm heavy tanks and Flammenthrower units, positioned to attack the Pas de Calais beaches. Radio traffic was simulated with over 1,000 coded messages per day, mimicking the logistics and coordination of a full army. False supply depots with dummy ammunition crates were observed by German spies, suggesting continuous resupply. Garbo even described imaginary air squadrons of 150 bombers and 200 fighter planes, ready to provide air superiority. The psychological impact was immense. German commanders overestimated Allied strength, hesitated to redeploy troops, and remained trapped in the strategic trap laid by the Allies. The role of artillery, bombs, and air power. As the deception unfolded, the real invasion force mobilized. In Normandy, 156,000 soldiers were concentrated, including 73,000 Americans, 61,000 British, and 21,000 Canadians. They were supported by 5,000 landing craft, 1,200 tanks, including amphibious Sherman Deeds and Churchill Crocodiles, and over 11,000 aircraft. Bombers like B-26 Marauders, Lancaster heavy bombers, and C-47 Skytrains prepared to strike German fortifications along the Atlantic Wall. In the 24 hours preceding the landings, the Allies dropped over 9,000 tons of bombs. Naval ships fired 16-inch shells capable of penetrating 3 meters of reinforced concrete, destroying bunkers and anti-tank positions. Explosions tore through coastal defenses, disorienting German soldiers and sending debris flying hundreds of meters. Every shell, bomb, and bullet was calculated to maximize destruction while keeping friendly casualties manageable. The paratroopers and nighttime attacks. Before the beaches were assaulted, 24,000 paratroopers from the 101st and 82nd Airborne Divisions descended into darkness, carrying M1 Garands, Thompsons, Browning machine guns, and 60mm mortars. Their mission was chaos: destroy communications, capture bridges, and neutralize artillery positions behind German lines. Demolition teams used over 12,000 pounds of explosives to tear through rail lines, bridges, and bunkers, severing reinforcements and isolating coastal defenses. Meanwhile, the German installed 30,000 tons of steel, barbed wire, and anti-tank obstacles formed a lethal gauntlet along the beaches. Soldiers advancing under artillery fire and mortar barrages faced machine guns firing at 600 rounds per minute, flammethrowers, and mines, all while smoke and explosions created disorienting chaos. The impact of the deception on German defenses. Hitler, convinced Normandy was a feint, held 12 divisions at Pas de Calais, awaiting the real assault. Normandy, by contrast, faced only 6 divisions, confronting 156,000 Allied soldiers, 1,200 tanks, and 11,000 aircraft sorties. German miscalculations proved fatal. At Omaha Beach, 2,400 Americans faced 33 German artillery positions, including 75mm, 88mm, and 105mm guns. Naval bombardments and aerial strikes neutralized 70% of these weapons, but the remainder inflicted horrific casualties. Landing craft were torn apart, infantrymen were pinned down by machine gun and sniper fire, and bazooka teams engaged in close quarters combat to disable fortified bunkers. Explosions shredded sand and concrete, leaving bodies and debris in the wake of advancing waves, explosions, arms, and the chaos of battle. Normandy's beaches became a theater of fire and destruction. In the first 24 hours, over 3,000 tons of bombs struck German positions. Tanks fired 88mm, 75mm, and 6-pounder rounds at bunkers and machine gun nests, while infantry units wielded bazookas, grenades, flamethrowers, satchel charges, and anti-tank mines. At Sword Beach, the British employed Churchill Crocodile flamethrower tanks, which projected 3-gallon bursts of napalm into concrete fortifications, incinerating defenders inside. Every blast was calculated, every shell aimed to disable artillery before infantry advanced. Engineers cleared minefields using Bangalore torpedoes, while snipers and demolition teams picked off machine gun crews, creating corridors of deadly fire. Paratroopers and sabotage behind enemy lines. Far from the beaches, paratroopers carried out sabotage operations with surgical precision. Bridges, railway lines, and communication centers were destroyed using satchel charges, TNT blocks, and plastic explosives, totaling over 12,000 pounds. These missions disrupted German command and prevented fast redeployment of armored divisions. Units targeted 88mm artillery batteries, flak positions, and anti-tank bunkers, often facing counterattacks from 50 to 100-man German garrisons. Explosions shattered steel beams, concrete splintered under the weight of shells, and fires spread through ammunition depots. The chaos created by these small teams magnified the effects of the deception, keeping German forces uncertain and uncoordinated. The strategic success of deception. By evening, the deception had worked perfectly. German reinforcements from Pas de Calais were delayed for 48 hours, critical in getting Allies the upper hand. In this time, over 50 square kilometers of beachhead were secured. Allied casualties totaled around 10,000 dead, wounded, or missing, while German miscalculations led to thousands of lost soldiers and equipment. The Phantom Army, inflated tanks, double agents, and simulated artillery had manipulated not only the battlefield but the minds of commanders. Psychological warfare, coupled with overwhelming and coordinated firepower, reshaped the reality of Normandy. Legacy and lessons in modern warfare. D-Day's lessons extend beyond Normandy. Operation Bodyguard demonstrated that intelligence manipulation, psychological operations, and careful orchestration of arms and explosions can achieve victories disproportionate to actual troop numbers. Modern warfare, with drones, electronic warfare, and cyber deception, reflects these principles. The Allies' combination of infantry, tanks, artillery, paratroopers, and air power became a template for modern combined arms operations. Every shell fired, bomb dropped, dummy tank deployed, and false radio message broadcast contributed to the overall strategy, proving that war is as much about strategy, deception, and coordination as courage and firepower. Furthermore, the lessons extended to urban and open field combat scenarios. Coordination between infantry, armor, and artillery ensured that even heavily fortified positions could be overcome with minimal losses. Engineers learned to integrate explosive demolitions to breach obstacles, while reconnaissance and signals units perfected the art of manipulating enemy perceptions. The Allies' success illustrated that wars could be won not only with brute force, but also with deception, calculated destruction, and the intelligent application of modern weaponry. The unsung heroes of deception. While soldiers braved bullets and artillery on the beaches, the architects of D-Day's success remained hidden. Engineers inflating hundreds of tanks, double agents transmitting over 500 false reports, planners coordinating more than 11,000 aircraft sorties, and demolition teams executing precision sabotage were the invisible hand guiding victory. Measured in numbers, explosions, and calculated attacks, their work had fooled Hitler, delayed German reinforcements, and saved countless lives. Normandy was conquered not only by bravery and firepower, but by deception, precision, and a deep understanding of the enemy's mind. In the end, D-Day proved that strategy, misdirection, and meticulous planning could turn the tide of history. As the first light breaks over the beaches of Normandy, the tension is almost tangible. Thousands of soldiers clutch M1 Garands, Thompsons, and bazookas, while engineers brace over 12,000 pounds of explosives, ready to tear through obstacles and bunkers. But before the bullets fly or shells explode, another battle has already begun, a battle of illusion, deception, and cunning. Phantom armies march across southern England, inflatable tanks gleam in the morning sun, and double agents whisper lies that will steer Hitler's forces into a deadly trap. When paratroopers drop behind enemy lines and artillery roars across the coastline, chaos is precise, orchestrated, and devastating. D-Day wasn't won by brute force alone. It was won by strategy, misdirection, and the invisible hand of planning. If this video into the secrets of D-Day grabbed your imagination, like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss another story from the edge of history. And stay tuned for our next video, where we explore how Russia turned winter into its deadliest weapon.